Day and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining us in this public hearing on resolution number 290-36COR. The time is 2:00 p.m. and this hearing is now called to order. In accordance with the open government law, public notices of this hearing were sent in the manner and within the prescribed times period required by law. The single item agenda for today's hearing is resolution number 290-36COR, introduced by myself, Senators Frank Blas Jr., Christopher M. Dueñas, Joe S. San Agustin, Jose Pedo Terlaje, Therese M. Terlaje, Telo T. Taitague, Amanda L. Shelton, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, James C. Moylan, Sabina Flores Perez, Joanne Brown, Clynton E. Ridgell, relative to expressing the support of the Mina'trentai Sais and the Liheslaturan Guåhan for the passage of H.R. 3512, the Health Care for Our Troops Act, which would provide access to zero-cost TRICARE Reserve Select and dental coverages to Reserve Component service members. Joining me here today this afternoon are my colleagues, Senator Chris Dueñas, Senator Telena Nelson, Senator Pedo Terlaje, Senator Sabina Flores Perez, and Senator Telo Taitague. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. We don't have anyone signed up to testify publicly on this resolution. I'd like to ask my colleagues if they have any questions or would like to comment on this resolution. Senator Dueñas?
Senator Ada, Chairman, for this purpose of this resolution to be heard 29036. I just want to thank you for your leadership in introducing this. I don't have any questions. I think the resolution is pretty straightforward in supporting H.R. 3512, the Health Care for Our Troops Act. I was reading through the resolution when you first presented it and reading again. It's kind of interesting how the resolution states that even with guardsmen and who are serving, there are times when they themselves, not being active status, cannot even avail of some of the healthcare benefits available. And to see that, that Congress has been very, came forward to ensure that at least during these times and for the purposes of when they're active and other activities are taking place, that the healthcare benefits can extend. I think it's just only the right thing to do. We were at that celebration last week, to really honor the Guard members for their service, particularly during COVID, and to think those families when active duty was being pursued and done by the service members, obviously had an opportunity for the full benefits of TRICARE and healthcare. So it's the least we can do for our troops. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I just thank you for allowing me to be a co-sponsor, and hopefully we can get this on the floor and quickly get it to Congress so that they can see also all the way out from the shores of Guam that the full support is there for the efforts taking place in Congress. So with that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Nelson? Sure, I can. Not a problem. Thank you. So, as a matter of fact, probably what I'll do, perhaps we'll be able to have some time to give folks to come in and those that want to come in to testify. So what the issue is, and this was sent to me as well on the zero-cost TRICARE. So the issue is the National Guard and Reserve service members continue to face challenges in obtaining healthcare access to meet medical readiness requirements and ensuring continuity of care, especially when deploying overseas. Significant numbers of service members without health care directly impacts National Guard deployability, as no-notice deployments have increased to record highs over the last several years. And this is the background here. Service members are required to meet medical deployability requirements. An estimated 130,000 guardsmen and reservists do not have health care insurance under the current disjointed system of third-party health contractors and periodic health assessments, which greatly impact the reserve component's medical readiness. Inconsistent healthcare coverage for members of the reserve components makes meeting these requirements difficult to achieve. The issue will persist despite current efforts to streamlining military duty statutes, which may provide more reserve component service members with opportunities to maintain healthcare coverage through TRICARE Reserve Select. This can be fixed by offering service members guaranteed zero-cost medical coverage through TRS. H.R. 3512, Healthcare for Our Troops Act, ensures service members meet the medical standards required of a deployable force at no cost to them and their families. Additionally, this bill provides coverage for dental care, another common deployability issue experienced by the reserve component. These changes would also provide the Department of Defense with a powerful recruiting and retention tool, as well as a significant employer incentive to retain talented individuals in gainful civilian employment. Under the current law, National Guard and Reserve service members who are federal employees in their civilian capacity are ineligible to enroll in TRS. This creates confusion in coordinating benefits for service members and their families and prevents service members from establishing continuity of care and treatment as they deploy or transition in or out of federal government. H.R. 3512 strikes the language that disallows service members from accessing TRS simply due to working for the federal government in the civilian capacity. So Resolution 29036 UR supports H.R. 3512 in that it ensures that our local National Guard and Reserve members would be able to avail themselves of these benefits should this bill pass in Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this measure. I stand in support of this measure. It is estimated that 16% of Guardsmen currently have no health insurance. And some of the challenges that we've seen as a National Guardsman is that when you perform drill weekends, it is not equivalent to 1 day of active duty. The drill weekends are formed where there's multiple days included and counted as multiple days during that weekend time period of 2 to 3 days. And so really this resolution is also asking for parity with the National Guard Association of the United States movement behind it. So this is a great organization that advocates for our National Guard members. I'm currently a member myself in this NAGAS, and this is something that each state usually contributes a portion of proceeds to these types of endeavors for equity and parity within the National Guard. And so this is a good measure to remind Congress that the National Guardsmen are present, they're called to duty for state and federal affairs. And so I strongly support this measure, and I ask that you make me a co-sponsor. I understand that this was submitted when I was currently on duty myself. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Thank you for your service to our island and our nation as a member of the National Guard. And absolutely that will ensure that we place you as a co-sponsor to this resolution. And I'm sure that you, as well as any other member of this legislature, would know firsthand the challenges that the National Guard Reserve face with medical and dental provisions of health care. That they face challenges as members of the Guard and Reserve. So thank you for your input, and thank you for your willingness to co-sponsor this resolution. Thank you. Senator Pedo.
First off, I just want to, before I share my thoughts, let me just thank the sponsor of this bill for having me be one of the co-sponsors. But I just want to just reiterate some of the things that is mentioned on this particular resolution. I am a retired military, and I know some of the, or most of the rules of being active and just being a veteran. And I just want to echo what Senator Telena Nelson had mentioned, because I'm pretty sure that she is also aware aware of some of the benefits that is afforded to retirees and active military, and not afforded to reservists and veterans. And I want to say that, for one, I think TRICARE does not extend over to veterans. If I'm right, Senator Nelson, right? TRICARE is only extended over to retirees and active personnel.
Yes, TRICARE itself, they do
Yeah.
have a TRICARE Reserve Select
Yeah,
for the
that's my
reservists.
understanding. And the thing is, the problem that we have here is that if you're a veteran, like the dentist on base, only active personnel can be afforded services on the dental clinic on base. And I'm pretty sure that the senator would also agree with me. And this particular resolution kind of just extend and invigorate the shortfalls that we have regarding services for the veterans and services for those that actually did not retire from the military. And I want to thank the sponsor of the bill, Senator Ada, for including me as a co-sponsor. And if there's anything that I can do, because I do chair, Senator Ada is my vice chair on the veterans, and I am the chair, and I'm fully aware of the benefits extended to active military, retired active military, and reservists who are not active and just kind of just be a part-time soldier. So I want to thank you, sir, very much for including me as a co-sponsor for this bill. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Senator Pedo Terlaje. Senator Flores?
This is Masi, Senator Ada, for allowing me to be a co-sponsor of this important measure. So I think that 16% of the guardsmen have no health insurance is a shocking statistic that needs to be closed, and I appreciate your leadership in regards to making this a legislative priority to support congressional legislation. I think also to note is that, with the national defense budget being over $700 billion, I think it's time that we prioritize the people behind our national defense. And I think this is a modest request to include zero-cost health care as well as dental coverage for our guardsmen. And again, I thank you for this opportunity. This is Masi.
Thank you, Senator Flores. I'd like to thank Senator Joanne Brown for joining us here this afternoon for this public hearing. Thank you, Senator. Senator Telo Taitague?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to my colleagues. There are many Guam residents or members also of the Coast Guard Reserve. And some have retired, and the Coast Guard is though a component of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and not Department of Defense. I was hoping, Mr. Chair, you can maybe answer this. Will the Coast Guard Reserve on Guam be eligible for the TRS?
This is the members of the National Guard and Reserve components, select reserve components.
Well, I think this line of defense is also very important to our country, and they share in the same responsibilities, I think, in defending our country as well. So I don't know if there's anything in here that we can incorporate, including the Coast Guard reserves as well. The Resolution 290 states that there are 2,600 National Guard service members. It is known that many Guam residents are in the reserve components and in the Coast Guard as well. So is it known how many Guam residents are in the reserve component? Is it who are not on this TRS? Or, well, of course not on, because you have to be retired, like Senator Pedo mentioned. My father also has that ability to utilize, but
Let me check here real quick. I believe there are approximately 2,679 members of the Guard and Reserve, and that's
okay,
including
just in the Guard?
and that's
Yeah.
including Coast Guard Reserve.
And it is including Coast Guard?
Including Coast Guard
Okay,
Reserve.
so it is. Okay, so that number is reflected, I believe, in the resolution. So it should incorporate the Coast Guard, and that's why I'm bringing it up about the Coast Guard as well.
Yeah, on page 2 of the of HR 3512 and Section 1076D, members of selected reserve, and this is what it covers, a member of the selected reserve or the ready reserve of the reserve component of the Armed Forces is eligible for health care benefits under TRICARE Reserve Select as provided in this section. So, yeah, it should be covered as what we're providing support for on HR 3512.
Okay, so it says 26 guardsmen and reservists, so like you said earlier, it does incorporate the Coast Guard Reserve as well. Okay, so of the 2,600, how many reserves and National Guard members are employed at the government of Guam? Do you happen to know that, or?
I don't have how many
Okay.
are employed with government of Guam, but on the Coast Guard Reserve, there are 80 members of the Coast Guard Reserve
Okay.
in Guam.
So, and another thing I had a question about is whether the members of the TRS, will the availability of health care and dental service be restricted just to military hospitals and clinics?
I believe it's going to be where TRICARE is currently accepted. That's where the program expands to and that's what we're covering is the program expansion to our local National Guards and Reservemen who are not qualified currently.
Okay. And we probably don't even know how many of those clinics are here, so. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. I do totally stand in support. I'm hoping that maybe, the Congress would incorporate also the Coast Guard as well.
Yeah,
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Brown, do you have any comments for?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly understand the purpose of the resolution and wanting to address these issues. I mean, we want to make sure that we have the readiness of our National Guard, certainly in terms of their physical health and welfare. But this is not as uncommon as one would think. I mean, my dad was retired from the Navy. And even for those that are retired from the service, the idea that we used to get and what was promised back, you reach a certain age, if there are other forms of insurance that can be charged, they do that if you're getting care at Nerva Hospital. You can be on TRICARE, but certainly once you reach a certain age and you're on Medicare, then your Medicare gets charged and you end up also having to pay a quarterly amount to Medicare. So the old days of, 1,000% medical coverage, perhaps maybe that's the case for active duty, but that changes obviously once you retire. But certainly anything we can do to enhance the opportunity, especially like I said, for those that are on active duty, to receive proper health care, because we want them to be prepared for whatever's ahead of them and to be in good health, good body, and good mind to perform their respective duties. I appreciate the opportunity certainly to co-sponsor this resolution. I hope that Congress gives some serious thought to the importance of addressing health care for our members, because with all the things that they have to work and worry about, this certainly shouldn't be one of them. So with that, Senator Atta, thank you for the opportunity to comment on Resolution 290.
Thank you, Senator Brown. I appreciate your input and your comments on 290. Senator Dueñas, you had an additional comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and I know a lot of your research also, just for the record, I believe you'll be entering this into the record, but there is a zero-cost TRICARE, basically a fact sheet, and I'm sure that we'll append that to the committee report. So any members, perhaps those who are looking to add other components, you can put it in as an amendment to the resolution, maybe as a request. And for those listening, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, sometimes we'll have our military faithful listening, and this did come from one of our military faithful. Thank you, Chief. But they can learn more at www.ngaus.org. One more time, www.ngaus.org. And that website will give you basically all the information. And I'm sure you were already going to do it, Mr. Chairman, but we can append this to the record so that folks will understand the complete background of this. And I know you referenced it as well. So, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Dueñas, and to my colleagues whose parents were service members, and thank you for their service to our island and our country. And to my colleagues, Senator Nelson and Senator Pedo, thank you for your service to our island. As myself, that as a veteran, we try to do what we can to look at these types of legislations that are going through Congress that don't apply here to Guam, and what is it that we can do to ensure that we close the gaps and ensure that those benefits that are currently being addressed in the United States, that we bring them to Guam. The last time we checked, when we all raised our hand, Senator Pedo and Senator Nelson, we raised our hand to serve our country. We did it without hesitation, and we volunteered our time and our lives. And for our country to give back the benefits that are rightfully deserving of veterans and their families, that's what we look forward to bringing here. So with that, I'd just like to thank my colleagues for being here this afternoon. Thank you for your comments on this. And for anyone who would like to submit testimony, please, you may submit testimony to, testimonies will be submitted for the next 10 days and may be emailed to Senator vanthonyatta@gmail.com, or you may send or hand deliver it to 204 Hessler Place, Adams Plaza Center, Suite B, Building B, Suite 202, Hagåtña, Guam. There being no further testimony, resolution on 29036 COR has been duly heard, and it is now 2:22, and this hearing is adjourned. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, everyone, to the public for listening.